We're back to the Neil Haley Show. My guest today is Lefty. He's from Legacy Filmmaker. Lefty, thanks for stopping by. How did you start your whole filmmaking career? When did that start for you?
It started about 7, 8 years ago, but I was actually born into a family of entrepreneurs. They were in radio and television broadcasting for like almost 40 years. Kind of always had it in me. But I 2001, 2002-ish when radio kind of started to take a turn for the worst. I didn't want to take that route. I was entering high school at the time, happened to find my love and interest for house music, and I became a DJ, which led me to become a music producer and then go off to actually like touring all over Canada, a couple places in the States and a couple places in Europe. And it wasn't until I met my wife, again, also 7 years ago, where I wanted to kind of just stay home more. And I didn't want to be on the road. I didn't want to be coming home at like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning anymore. And I just realized I needed to shift one creative to the other. We were getting married at the time, so we were also like selecting vendors for our wedding. And my videographer just happened to tell me that Sony is releasing a new camera at the time. And he goes, if you want to be able to be with the big guys, let's call it, but also give yourself an opportunity to learn and have a camera for the next, 7 to 10 years, you might as well just start off and buy this one that I'm recommending. So I did that. And lo and behold, I'm here now.
So then that becomes filmmaker, and you're award winning. What did you get your award for filmmaking?
Yeah, so I did a project with Robert J. Moore, who's like, a pretty successful entrepreneur, and he wanted to do kind of like an autobiography for himself through film. And it was kind of like an interview style, primarily documentary, but we entered into a bunch of film festivals. We won five times. We won Best Feature. I won Best Cinematographer, and his company also awarded me with a Lifetime Achievement Award, which was really, really awesome.
That's fantastic. That's an amazing just in 7 years to where you're going and all this. And do you do a lot of other videography as well, or are you focusing more on documentaries as your big thing you're doing?
Yeah, so the cool thing is that documentaries also allow you to kind of be creative and open up into different territories. So, for example, there's certain instances where you might not have home videos from like childhood or teenage years or photos or anything like that. So I'm also opened to, well, at least my clients allow me to be opened enough to recreate certain scenes and create adaptations of like how we felt a scene went down, which really gives that additional extra flavor to the films that we create. Or some of my clients also don't really want to be the stars. They don't want to be interviewed and be in front of a camera. So they'll actually give me their story in which I just create an adaptation out of. And then of course, they approve the scripts and whatnot, but we're pretty much dead on most of the time.
See, and that's an interesting thing. I think it's a big thing. It's telling your story. I own a publishing company, Hollow Man Publishing, and
Yeah.
I look at multiple businesses and where my career as an entrepreneur. But I look at specifically enough when you talk about stories, you can't tell your story unless you have something. And putting it on, like I have all these VHS right now of my
Yeah.
days in pro wrestling, the ones I was able to recover from kind of the long story about recovering, but I recovered about 7 or 8 videos that I would want to probably create into a bio video, and you would be like that perfect candidate for that. And I'm about to come back into the ring and maybe a documentary following my progress and all that. Do you pretty much are for your services? It depends. Do you have different models? Let's say if somebody wants to do a documentary, but they're going to raise the funds, or do you help raise the funds and partner with them? It just depends on the project.
Yeah, I think great question. I mean, it really just depends on the project, right? I mean, we obviously work on the scope of the project. I don't do really anything like cookie cutter. I don't have like set packages for obvious reasons. Um, and there are times where, depending on who I'm working with, they just self-fund the entire project, or they do get some sort of sponsorship money, or they raise it, or the other option is collaborations. They'll bring other entrepreneurs on board, in which they kind of have like the same type of vision and mission. So they'll all kind of bring their expertise together, and that kind of allows everybody to kind of pool their resources together. And as well, the beauty about documentaries, right? It's not like you have short form content where you're going to go to like a marketing agency and it's like, hey, you got 30 days to pay me, or like we're not working together.
That's me. Sorry. That's me, but
Yeah.
that's a marketing agency, but that's okay. But yeah, I get it, because you're seeing the long game. Like,
Yeah.
let's just say this documentary gets sold, right? And it
Yeah.
gets distribution. You're going to get paid really well longer term than just getting the shoot, right? So you see all those different things as opportunities for you, right? In
Yeah.
collaboration, pricing, things like that. Because let's just say it's a great documentary. Like, look how the whole thing, production companies got the Netflix thing for wrestlers, right?
Yeah.
It didn't happen overnight that it was going to Netflix, right? And I'm sure the
No,
production company got a good piece of the pie afterwards for this versus the beginning, because a lot of people don't have the ability to fund how expensive it is to do a documentary or do a docu-series, right?
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to kind of be on you got to be a different level type of entrepreneur if you're going to do like a docu series, because I mean, you're talking like six figure, maybe even sometimes seven figure salaries, or uh jobs in that regards. But typically the entrepreneurs that come to me, we're either doing short films or we're doing features, anywhere between 15 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the project. But I know that I've noticed that like my sweet spot is like the 15 to 45-minute mark.
So what kind of explain real quick what a 15 to 45-minute mark would be? Like, how would that, like, what kind of story would you put together to create for that? That would be something that would go on YouTube and stuff, telling their story. Almost kind of like Gary Vee's bio video, which is about 7 to 8 minutes. That's
Yeah.
what some of these entrepreneurs want, right? In a way, like with all the glitz and glamour of, you've seen Gary Vee's bio video. It's phenomenal. It tells his whole
Yeah.
story, and all these, and only someone could do and shoot something to create something that well.
Yeah. And I mean, it really stems down like when I go into any meeting, I have two types of people when I go into meetings. But to talk about the one type of individual, my first question always is, where do you want this to go? Like, where do you want this to live? What is the end result? Because if if the person turns around and says, "Oh, I want to be on a streaming platform," or I want, some video on demand, or whatever the case might be, if they're looking at the larger picture, streaming platforms are not going to take a 15-minute film, right? So it really depends. Like that's the first question I ask, because if it's YouTube, that's a different story. We can work with like a 10 to 15, maybe even 20-minute film. But if somebody is looking for like a platform distribution, it's safe to give them something, anywhere between 45 minutes and above.
Are you looking ever to do feature films? If anyone asked you to direct or produce something?
Always. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just that's going in my ear, That's something that go. That's why I reached out to you to have you on my show. So go figure. This is what happens with the media giant. He just comes up with something and says, I got multiple ideas. Let me connect. Let's see. But there's so many people, especially authors I work with, and now our publishing company, they're going to make it into a movie. And this is where you can expand your whole horizon, and people are willing to spend the money for it. Trust me. But it's a huge thing, because video tells stories. People think
Yeah.
short form tells stories. It just gives you a tease, bro. It's because we're playing
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
But the long game, the stuff that people are going to invest in long form video. Bottom line, that's why YouTube's YouTube. You know, they put the shorts
That's it.
out there, but long form video is the way to go. If you don't, forget about it. Where's the best place people can connect with you? I'm so glad to meet you, and definitely we're going to create some collaborations together, but where can people go?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, if anybody wants to find me, it's on Facebook. That's like my main platform where I do all like my social posting. Lefty Scutinas is the name, and it's the same exact name on YouTube. YouTube is my secondary platform where I'm pretty much putting out all my content. I've actively ditched every single platform other than Facebook and YouTube.
Hey, you know what? See, here's the thing. It's because it's so much work. You have a niche clientele. You just need to be able to have your platform as a marketer and get them there. You're not looking to go viral different places because they're not your customer. They're not going
Yeah,
to be able to shell out the kind of money that your clientele base is. And I
correct.
know who your ideal customer is. And it looks like I know a lot of those people. So I appreciate it, sir. Looking forward to some collaborations. I'd love to get you into the Hollywood scene down the line because of my connects. And I'd love to start making movies someday. And that's why I reached out to you. But I appreciate it,
Awesome.
sir. And thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.
All right. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show. And we'll be back in just a moment.